So a lot of people will ask me is, now this is probably coming from more advanced players, it's about takeaway. When I take the club away, what moves? When I take the club away, how do I get it in the right position? Okay, so this is more for better players. So assuming that you have a good setup and a good grip, so once you get close to the golf ball, okay, so when we take the club away, you want to have a little trigger. Okay, may that be a little bit of a forward press with your hands. May that be a little trigger move in your knee and your feet. Okay, or a little lean in the body. It doesn't matter what it is that you do, or even Bryson DeChambeau does a little lift. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is you do, you need to have a little trigger to help you to take the club away, and that will help you take the club away more consistent. So talking about that, if you want to take the club away a little bit more consistent, so for me, I have this little knee movement that I do. Okay, so I kind of pick my right foot up a little bit, step down on it, and that helped me to get the club back. Okay, because I am one of those pros trying to teach a golf swing that will incorporate a little bit of the hip turn, okay, and a little bit of a shoulder turn, okay, in the takeaway. So in my takeaway, it's not that this is staying stationary and still. So for me, I like to see a little bit of a step. Just pick my right foot up, step down, and then set the club back. Okay. Now another thing about this, though, from this angle, when we do that, we're trying to keep our chest moving together with our hands. So when we do that, I'm always visualizing my chest is always looking at the middle of my hands. Okay, so it does not move independently like this. So right now my chest is looking forward and my hands is over here. Or obviously, I've never seen people do this, that chest is pointing that way, hands is still down here. So I want to make sure that how my chest is turning, where my chest is facing, is where my hands is. So that will help me to get that. Now a lot of you will be asking, okay, so if I do that, if the club's in a circle, then the club goes back here, right? No, because what happened is, so the wrist literally is hinging. If you guys watch how I talk about grip, the wrist bone, okay, the radial wrist bone, this is the ulnar wrist bone, is actually what sits on top of the grip, and that is pushing down as you hinge up. So it's when we set up, the grip actually goes this way. That's how we hinge. It does not move this way. Okay, it's more of a radial deviation that we move this way. Okay, so, and it's not moving this way. See how that wrist bow up like that? Okay, or we roll. See how the wrist rolls this way? We're not doing any of that. We just do this. So when we do this, when we set it up, and that's what we're looking for. And from the down the line view, same thing. Okay, if I do this, if I roll my wrist, roll my forearm, and see where the club goes. Okay, if I flatten it, see the wrist bow out, see where the club goes. If I turn a little bit, see where the club goes. So what we're doing is we are hinging, so the wrist bone is pushing it down as I set the club. Okay, and that's how you're going to set the club in the right position. Okay, so in the backswing, you don't want your wrist to do any of this rotation or this way. So you don't want it to do a flexion, and you don't want to do any of a supination or pronation in the backswing. Okay, you don't want a flexion, deflection, flexion extension, pronation, supination. You don't want that. You just want the radial deviation, which just goes straight up this way. Okay, but because of the weight of the club and the momentum, it might cause you to have a little bit of this, might become a little flatter. So that's what we call flexion. So but your effort should be just hinging the wrist straight up. Okay, and then as you turn. Okay, so from the downline view, that club will never get behind your body like this. Okay, if there's a wall that I'm standing right in front of, like right here, this club will never touch that wall going back. Okay, because we are not rolling our wrist this way, we are not taking the club back this way. We are using our wrist down this way, and that club will always stay in front of this wall. So a good way to practice, if you have a takeaway correctly, is actually put a head cover on before you do that. Otherwise, you put a little thing on your drywall, you might be suing me, but don't do that. Put a little head cover on that and stand in front of it. Probably put like a little fist behind your hips. Okay, so that way you're not right up against the wall, and swing the club back and make sure you're not touching that wall back there. Okay, and then if you can do that, that means you got a pretty good backswing. You got a pretty good takeaway going back. All right, we'll see you next time.